VVTI. Today, let's talk about VVTI and how the system works in your car and how it helps to improve the fuel efficiency and also the performance of your car. So the letters VVTI stand for Variable Valve Timing with Intelligence. And basically how the system works is your engine has what are called valves, and those help to regulate how the air comes in and how the exhaust gases go out of your engine. So basically VVTI will continuously vary the time when your valves open and when your valves close, and doing that helps the engine to better manage its fuel consumption and also manage how much power the car is making in different conditions. So to better understand the VVTI system, I like to explain it with the reference of us human beings. So for example, if I decided to take a walk, my lungs and my heart will be performing at a calm and low level where it's just enough for me to be able to take that walk, right? But if I decided to sprint or to run, then my heart and my lungs have to adjust and pump blood faster and also draw in a lot more air so that I can get that extra power. So that's the same way that the VVTI system works in your car. So on older cars, if you had a car like the Pro Box and it didn't have VVTI, then you would have a situation where even if you decide to press on the accelerator and you demand more power, you couldn't get more power because your car was just built to be fuel efficient and work at a walking pace, right? But with the VVTI system, it allowed that adaptability, that when you decide to step on it and you want to accelerate, for example, you're trying to overtake, then the engine can adjust the timing and there give you more air that can flow into your engine and giving you more power that allows you to accelerate faster. So that's the basic understanding of the VVTI system. So these days, instead of a car just coming with good fuel economy, it also has the ability to have more power when you have it on demand, because varying the valve timing will allow the engine to, add more fuel at points where you need to make more power. By leaving the valves open longer, the intake valves open longer, that allows more air and fuel into the engine, and then it can create more power. And then when you're doing slow driving, or maybe you're just coasting in traffic for long periods of time, it can close the valves earlier to allow less fuel and air into the system, and that way you're saving on fuel that would have otherwise been used up. So for example, back in the day, if you got something like a 4-liter engine, you would have something that is very powerful, but even when you're driving in slow conditions, because it is continuously opening the valves and allowing a lot of air and fuel into the engine, that would be a lot of wasted power going out to your exhaust. But with a system like VVTI, it can continuously vary how the engine is taking in the air and fuel mixture, and that way you end up saving in situations where you don't need to use the extra air and fuel mixture that is coming into your engine. Now, the other type of VVTI I think we should talk about is the VVTL system that you find in something like a 2ZZ Runex. What that system also does is control the lift or how much the valves open. So when you're looking at the VVTI system in something like this Pro Box, it only adjusts the timing of the valves. So it's how long the valves stay open, and that way it regulates how much air and fuel mixture is going into the engine. But when it comes to the VVTLI system, it's also controlling how wide the valves open. So that allows for the car to be able to take in even more air and also control how long the valves stay open. Especially in cars like the 2ZZ Runex, you can really feel the system kick into effect when you get to about 6,000 RPM. Systems like the VVTI system will only vary how much time the valves stay open, but the distance in which they travel will always be the same. But on a system like the VVTL, you're going to have the lift also adjusted, so the valves will open much wider, allowing more air in, and more air means that the ECU or computer box can allow more fuel to come in, and you get that huge burst in power. So just to give you some examples of some engines that got to benefit from the change from non-VVTI to VVTI, for example, the popular 5A engine, which was in a lot of Corollas that we would see on the road. Obviously, today we now have, those Corollas are pretty much considered old cars now. But you remember the Corolla with the 5A engine, the earlier versions of the 5A that came out in the early 90s, that's like 1990 to about 1996. Those ones that didn't have VVTI were making around 78 to 85 or 80 horsepower. But the ones that came with VVTI later on, now after 1996, had like around 110 to 115. And these were the same engines. It was still a 1.5 liter, but obviously just modified on the head to accommodate the VVTI system. It actually made more power, and even the fuel consumption was slightly better than the one that didn't have VVTI. The same applies to engines like the 1JZ. The earlier versions of the JZ had a type of VVT system, but it wasn't like the VVTI that now came in after the mid 90s refresh. So it was still the same 2.5 liter engine, but it gained extra horsepower. I think the earlier versions made like 125, while the VVTI version made around 160 horsepower. And the other thing you need to remember is, as much as Zambia drives Toyota and everybody thinks VVTI only applies to Toyotas, there are a lot of car manufacturers and there's different names for the VVTI systems. I know that BMW, it's called Venos, and then there's Mitsubishi, which has Mivec. So different car manufacturers will call their VVTI systems different names, but at the end of the day, it's all there to improve the fuel efficiency of the car and also improve its power. All right, guys, that was just a quick video about VVTI. I hope I didn't leave you guys with many more questions. I tried to keep these as basic as possible, so I hope that you guys understood. But if you didn't, leave the questions in the comment section. I'm very active in the comments, and we can continue talking about this. And obviously, if you have any problems with your VVTI engine and you want it running perfectly, bring it down here to Z Gear HQ, which is Tunex Automotive, and we'll get your car running and in perfect condition. This was a video for the day. Until the next one, take care and drive safe.